Here we go. Are you ready, Rachel?
Oh, so excited. I saw a couple people already in the comments. We know that y'all are excited too. We left yesterday just taking some action, and we're going to take more action today.
Yes, 100%. Remember, one of our core values here is action over perfection. So, especially as we go into today's live stream, we're going to be discovering your profitable skill set. And this is going to be, oh my goodness, one of the most jam-packed teachings we've probably ever done. So, as we go through this, just keep ringing that through your head. Action over perfection, action over perfection. This doesn't have to be perfect. I can do this, right? Because the best way to make forward action is to make forward imperfect action, and that's okay, right? So I'm very, very excited about today. For those of you who joined us yesterday, as we're getting everybody on, what is one thing that stood out to you? What is one thing that you took away from yesterday's live stream that you feel like is going to help you as you move forward in your virtual assistant business? I would love to know in the comments. Rachel, what's one thing that stood out to you yesterday?
I kind of mentioned this to you earlier as we were prepping, but I love that what we're doing inside of this challenge is we're stripping away all the complicated and making it so simple for y'all here with us, whether you're watching us live or catching the replay later, to take action. And I love that about this challenge. And I loved seeing y'all make decisions about the time that you have available, and super excited for y'all to take action to choose your services today.
Yeah. People are saying time planning, setting a specific schedule to focus on my business building, not to overthink it, having my non-negotiables and commit, writing out the schedule and seeing the time constraints and availability, the time saver formula, putting on paper and seeing that I actually do have time was inspiring. Yay. That is what we hoped for. I'm so glad that that was inspiring. And today we're going to take what that information from yesterday. So if you didn't do yesterday, that's okay. Stay here because today is still going to be really, really good and jam-packed, but it would be beneficial for you to go back to yesterday's live stream as well. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on our Facebook page, find it on our Facebook group. So at some point to go back and do day one, but no matter what, you're in the right place. Let's go ahead and jump on in. So yesterday we did use the Savvy Time Saver formula to reclaim your time to commit to you and your business. And one thing that I hope that you walked away with is this feeling of, I can do this. Like I have the time capacity to do this. And it looks different for every person, right? What my time looks like doesn't look like your time, doesn't look like your neighbor's time, but where you are, we identified this is where I am, and this is the time I have that I could commit to the business. And so now we have that information going forward.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Nope, you keep going.
So here's what we're going to be doing today. Today we're going to be finding your profitable skill set. So the two things that people come to us over and over saying is, I don't know if I have really the time. Like I'm spinning so many plates. I don't know if I have the time capacity to do this. And do I really have services? Like, are there actual things that I have that business owners would be paying for? If anybody has had that thought, go ahead and say, yep, I've thought that in the comments, because I know I'm raising my hand right here as well. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We want you to actually walk away from today's training knowing what service you're going to offer in your business, knowing the rate you're going to charge, and you're going to have your packages decided on. So to get the most of this experience, and we mentioned this yesterday, we do have a workbook, okay? So this workbook is going to be incredibly vital for today's training. You can go to thevirtualsavvy.com/workbook and have it instantly right now as you're working through this. Now, it is a fillable PDF. For some of you, you liked the fillable part, you didn't like that's okay. It's no worries. You could print it off later. If you have a notebook, you could also just fill out, everything on your notebook and then go back and fill it in the workbook later, right? So whatever is going to work best for you, but it is important that you are actually taking some kind of notes, and because we want this to be personal, right? Like we want this to be you actually deciding on your services, your rate, like put pen to paper. We're going to make some decisions in today's training. It's going to be really, really good. So put away distractions, participate with us. Let's let this be engaging. Any questions that you have, go ahead. Our team is actually in the chat answering questions as we go along. So we are going to do a Q&A at the end, but you don't have to wait till the Q&A at the end in order to ask your question. questions. Now, I do want to note before we jump in, guys, tomorrow we are opening the doors to the Savvy System. I'm so excited. This is going to be absolutely an incredible time. So we open this course 2 times a year, and this is our signature step-by-step program to launch, grow, and scale your own VA business. I know we have some students in the chat. They can vouch for you. This course is legit. It's over 120 lessons that literally guide you step by step through the action taking things like we're doing here, but not just what we're doing here, because we're going to teach you how to market. We're going to teach you the legalities, how to set up your business. Should I have an LLC? How to build a team? All of the things are included. We'll tell you a little bit more about it tomorrow when we open the doors. But if you go to thesavvysystem.com, you can get on the wait list so that you'll be able to get a coupon for 10% off the cost of the course when we launch. So excited. I know, Rachel, you love having all those new students come in. It's such an exciting time.
It's such an exciting time. There's so much momentum and encouragement. And even just in these 3-day challenges, we've had 2 days so far. We're getting ready for the second, right? But the comments and the encouragement and the support that you're seeing here is just a small taste of what it's like inside of Savvy System. I was just in the group today, and we had so many exciting wins and things that people have questions about, and the team is supporting. I just absolutely love the Savvy System community.
Me too. Ashley said the Savvy System is so worth it if you tend to get sidetracked with all the fluff of building a business. Step by step keeps you on track so much more efficiently. So true. And you know what's not efficient? Rachel pointed this out. Rachel, what's not efficient about this picture?
So we were just, refreshing, looking through the slides, and I said, Abby, let's look at this slide for a second. Please don't ever put your computer on your bed and then put your very full, beautiful latte on top of your computer and walk away. Just please don't.
It's not smart. You can tell that's a Mac. It's like a $2,000 laptop. Just placed on a pillow with a completely full cup of coffee. Bad idea.
Beautiful cup of coffee. It's a beautiful bed. All the things. Just don't do that in reality.
Oh my gosh.
But let's jump in. So we're going to give you 3 statements, and at the very end, I want you to decide which one sounds the most like you. 1, 2, or 3. Here's the first one. You want to get out of your 9-to-5 because you don't feel fulfilled and want to work on your own terms. I know that so many of you watching today, watching yesterday, in our audience in general, are still working that 9-to-5, and you just don't feel that fulfillment. So maybe that first one is you. Maybe the second one is you. You've tried direct sales or other work from home opportunities, and you just have not found success. Maybe you've tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even more than that, and you just haven't found your thing. Maybe number 2 sounds like you. Or the last one, you just wish that you could make money using the skills that you already have. Which one sounds the most like you? 1, 2, or 3? Abby, which one sounded like you when you first got into virtual assistants?
Definitely a combo of 2 and 3. So I never did direct sales or MLM, but I had tried so many other ways to work from home. I would buy jeans at thrift stores and try to resell them. I was really into reselling things, I guess. I would buy textbooks online and try to resell them. And I was able to make some money, but it was a very, very insignificant. It'd be like $20 here, $30 here. Like, oh, I filled out a survey, I got $10. Like, it was all really sporadic. And a lot of it involved me getting out of the house too. Like, I'd have to my big pregnant belly dragging my 1-year-old around to a thrift store to look through all these jeans. Like, it really wasn't on my time. It was on my time, but it wasn't super convenient. And it really just never added up to anything substantial. What about you?
Yeah, mine was a mix of 1 to 3, although my 9-to-5 was not a typical 9-to-5. It was my stay at home, being mom, right? Like, not that I wasn't feeling fulfillment. Being mom is one of the best jobs I've ever had, but I really wanted something that was my own. And number 3, something that I didn't have to go learn how to do, like something that I could just jump into, make it my own, and celebrate who I was. I didn't know what that looked like. And I really didn't understand that that's what I was looking for until I found it, and it clicked and made perfect sense. And I had that feeling in my gut of, oh, this is it. Like, I can do this for myself. I can find even more fulfillment than what I have, but I can do with what I already am and who I am inside. So
yes, I love that. We have a couple people watching this from their day job, which I absolutely love. I'm like,
Love
come
it.
on. That's awesome. All right, let's we have a story actually from somebody who kind of had that same feeling like what we're talking about today. Do I really have the skills to make this work? So let's hear from Vanessa.
Yes.
In 2019, I was working in retail management for Starbucks and I was pregnant. I knew that I needed to make a change, so I began to explore my options. Cue the virtual savvy and the savvy system. And as I dove deep into the world of virtual assistants, like many of you, I wondered, what do I have to offer? So I began to look at the role that I was currently in and to identify those skills that could translate into the online space. And also, like many of you, I wondered, can I really do this? Can I really be a business owner? Can I really make money working for myself? So I decided to give myself a time limit. If after 1 year I did not have a financially sustainable business, then I would return to my corporate role. And guess what? It's been 3 years and I have not returned. If I can do it, you can too with the help of the Savvy system.
Oh, I love Vanessa's story. So good. I love that she took the skills that she had. Like, I think that's a lot of us. You're like,
Mhm.
"Ah, I'm a teacher. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I work at, I do retail. I work at Starbucks. I'm a manager. I'm what of these things. What about that is actually transferable? And that's what we're going to talk about today.
So good. I remember when Vanessa first reached out to me and was asking questions. She's like, I work at Starbucks. I'm a manager. What does that even look like? So she has done an incredible job. And she's right. She hasn't returned back.
Yep. So good. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to be talking about what services you're going to offer in your business. We're going to decide on your rate. You will leave today knowing the rate you're going to charge, and we are actually going to create your packages together. And I see a bunch of you guys grabbing the workbook in the comments. It makes me so happy. So you can go to thevirtualsavvy.com/workbook to download that. So the question we get asked all the time is, what services will I actually offer? I think I want to do this, Abby, but
Mhm.
what would I actually offer? Like, what do small business owners need? So we're going to actually break it down here for you. But we're going to start with a quick activity, okay? And this is actually the very first thing in your workbook. So you can write it in your workbook. It's a fillable PDF, or you can just jot it on a piece of paper if you want. Open up a Google Drive doc if you're doing it that way. That's fine. However you need to write this out. If I were to come to you today as a client and I just wanted to pay you to do something for my business, initially, what services would you offer me? Again, this is just the step one of this. So if you're like, oh, I don't know, that's why I'm here, that's okay. But I want you to start thinking about the things that you do have experience in. Have you created your own Facebook page? Have you ever used the tool Canva and created a social media graphic? Have you, in your current job, have you had to write customer service emails, or have you had to do something that could be a benefit to a small business owner? Even, do you pay your own bills? If you've paid your own bills, you could pay bills or send invoices potentially for a small business owner. So as huge or as insignificant as the skills seem, go ahead and just jot down a couple of things.
Mhm.
And I'd love to hear, Rachel, what were some of the beginning services that you offered when you first started your business? And if anybody has like, I know we see general admin, and sometimes people are like, okay, but what is that actually? So if you have either your services decided, or if you're a current VA that already has clients, I'd love for you guys to drop some examples of the services you started out with when you were just beginning.
Yeah, great question. So I was formerly a kindergarten teacher, and I was looking for transferable skills right to the online space. I'd never worked online. I don't know what that looks like. And so I started with simple things like Facebook group management. I love people. I love connecting with people. And so I advertised that I could support in managing your Facebook group and create engagement posts for you and schedule them out. Because my time was a little bit more limited as far as my kiddos go, I had very specific times when I first started on when I could work, just like many of you with our time saver formula, right? So those services worked really well. I knew how to engage on Facebook. I knew how to talk to people, and I could create a simple question or engagement graphic in Canva. I'm not a graphic designer by any stretch, but I could do something simple enough. And I quickly sold out my services using just those services.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the story that we see time and time again. I think sometimes people think that like, oh, I can just do some of the simple things, right? Like Kayla saying I did social media posts for realtor friends, making phone calls and setting appointments for insurance agents,
Yes.
data entry, email support, appointment scheduling, travel research. So these things, I think sometimes we feel like, oh, but these are just small things. But if you think about somebody, especially a small business owner who is hiring a VA for the very first time, a lot of times it's those small things that they're
Yes.
wanting to get off of their plate, right? You might feel like all I can do is answer customer service emails, but to a small business owner who is drowning, wanting to grow their business, and they're stuck behind a computer instead of being, facing their clients, that could be the thing that relieves them to be able to grow their business, right? And so I want us to stop thinking of general admin as insignificant, because it is significant because of the relief that it provides to the small business owner. Okay. I love seeing these. I love these. And some of you guys have, more technical skills. Maybe you do have more experience in this world. And the thing is, you guys will all gain experience over time. So don't be intimidated if somebody is saying, oh, I can do lead pages, I can build a website, I can do, I can edit podcasts. That's great, and at some point you might find yourself in one of those things too. And I love that some of you guys do have that background, but you don't have to have that background to do this kind of work. And I think that that is what's really important. So we're going to come back to this question. If the goal is that you're going to have 5 skills that you can list. That's what we want you to walk away with from this training. So if you don't have 5 written down yet, don't stress. We're going to come back to it. Okay. We want to emphasize you do already have the skills that clients want. So today we're going to actually show you what they are. Now, yesterday we did, I'll come back to that screen here in a second, but yesterday we encouraged you guys at the end of our training to go to the virtualsavvy.com/quiz. I'd love to know how many of you guys actually did that and what your result was. Did you get the creative? Did you get the visionary? Did you get the expert? I would love to know. And did it resonate with you? And this is a tool, like any quiz. It's a tool, but I really like this one. It was really well put together from our team. And so I would say, what did you guys get? The helper, the expert. I did the quiz, didn't feel like it quite fit me. That's okay. The helper, the creative. So what we want to do is actually show you the results, because if you answer, I know sometimes I get in my head about questions and then I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then I'm just not always the best quiz taker. So what we want to do is actually show you the results of all of these. The organizer, and it was spot on. Yay, Ruth, that makes me so happy. So at the end of the quiz, and again, if you didn't take it, you can go anytime, thevirtualsavvy.com/savvy quiz. It totally is going to help you with discovering. But if you didn't take it, honestly, you can just look at this too, because part of what we're doing is self-identifying. Okay. You guys all have unique skill sets. We all have like the things that we kind of tend toward, right? Some of us are more administrative. Some of us are more creative. Some of us are more technical. And so when you actually look at this list, I want you to look and if this becomes the 5 things, right? And it could be, hey, maybe 3 or 4 of these services are ones that I feel like I could offer right now. And maybe I'll list 1 or 2 that I'm like, I don't really know how to do that, right? So let's say, for instance, I got the helper. So I would say inbox management, chat support, personal task manager, Facebook group support, live stream webinar support. And then maybe at some point I could learn how to do event coordination, right? Like maybe I don't have that experience, but because of my skill sets, I could see myself learning how to do that. I could see myself being able to do that well. So it's okay to list out some things that you're like, I would offer these now. And then, maybe eventually I think I could learn how to do this as well.
No, it's really good. I also want you not to do the opposite of that and put all 5 things of things that you don't know how to do or you want to know how to do. Don't take it there, because then you can't get started right away. So the purpose of this particular choice making, right, is that you have the services that you can start with right now. And I know several of you kind of toggled between maybe 2 results. That's fine. The quiz is not going to be 100% accurate. You can totally look at this list inside your workbook or here on the screen. And if you know that you can do something that's underneath a different category, grab it, do it, sell it. Like, that's totally fine. This is just kind of a way to organize it and show you the different personalities that VAs can have. And you can totally be a little bit of one or the other.
Yes, 100%. Michelle says, I'm very creative and organized. I think that's awesome, Michelle. So like you can look at the organizer, you can
Mhm.
look at the creative, and maybe you're like, well, I'm gonna grab a few from both of them. That's perfect. We love that. And I love this too. Like Teresa says, I took the test, got the creative, but looking for the test, I feel like I align more with the visionary leading toward creative and organizer. So here's the thing. So we actually just added the visionary. We didn't actually have this a
Mhm.
couple of months ago. Visionary wasn't an option, but what we realized is that visionary is somebody who's like, I could do any of them, right? Like, I could do organizer, I could do like the visionary is the person that just sees the really big picture, and you're like, let's just grow this thing. Let's just make this thing huge. So what's so cool, Teresa, if you're kind of seeing I identify some with the visionary and maybe some with the creative. Well, maybe you grow a creative agency, right? Maybe you offer creative services like blog manager, copywriting, content creation, whatever, but you do it at scale, right? You're like, let me just go ahead and start. Visionaries usually start building a team as
Yes.
soon as possible
Mhm.
because really what you're about is that big vision and the team management, right? So like it's okay if you see a little bit of both of them. There's no right answer, and that's what we want you guys to feel empowered from. This is like, don't let the lines in this like
Right.
make you feel like you have to stay within that box, because you don't fit in just one of these categories. You probably do fit in a little bit of all of them, so take a little bit from each of them, and go through and just circle, like Rachel said, just circle or write down, however you choose to do it, 5. You just need to start with a few simple services to say, these are the ones that I'm going to start off offering. And you might after a while be like, oh, I am not going to do that anymore. I know that was me. Like I used to do
Mhm.
appointment setting phone calls. So I had an insurance agent that just said, hey, again, a lot of times, guys, clients are already doing these things. So it's not even like you have to learn. Like some of it you can learn
Yes.
on the job, which is
Mhm.
reality. So I had this a State Farm agent actually who said, hey, I need you to do appointment setting phone calls. These are not sales calls. They're literally already clients with me, but I just want to set appointments with them to like come in and just review all of their policies and everything and make sure everything's up to date. So I would call his clients and say, hey, so I would love to get a call with you just to kind of review all of your policies. Is there a day sometime in the next 2 weeks that would work for you? It was pretty easy, right? But it took a huge load off of his plate. And I was actually pretty good with it, but I also had a 1-year-old. And so, like, if you have a 1-year-old screaming, crackers, more crackers in the background, like, maybe that's just not the service for me right now. And so I took that off of my list really quickly. So, these can change. It will probably ebb and flow as once you start getting into them. You're like, oh, actually, I really like this. Let me lean into that more. Oh, I don't really like this anymore. Let me not, I'm going to take that away from my services list.
That's so good. And don't get distracted. Like Abby said, I love that you said this. Don't get distracted by the lines. Don't get distracted by the titles. If you're not quite sure, am I the helper? Am I the organizer? Am I the creative? I'm not sure. I got 2 different answers. I want you to take the titles away and I want you to look at the tasks. Don't overthink it. Do I like calendar management? I can do that. Can I do inbox management? I like that. Can I do video editing? I like that. Like just look at the tasks and pick 5. Don't spend too much time thinking into the details. What 5 services could you start with if I came to your door today?
Yeah, I love this. Kina even says, like, side note, I don't know much about Dove or Honeybook, but I would definitely love to learn. And I think that's something that's really important to point out here too, is that you may look at this and you're like, I don't know how to do that, but I actually think I would be really good at it. Kina, literally like 1 week. Like you could learn each of those probably very thoroughly. Like take a week to do Dubsado, a week to do Honeybook. If you're already good at organizing and like project management and that kind of stuff, and have like a little bit of technicality, although those Dubsado and Honeybook are both really user friendly. 1 week you'd be able to learn them. Like there's so many resources. We have Savvy Vault, but a lot of, Dubsado and Honeybook even have their own trainings too, on like how to use their platform. And so it's that like, okay, I'm going to put these on my list knowing in like probably a week or 2, I could learn them really, really quickly. And that's a great service. I mean, I remember one of our students, she sold out her services doing Dubsado setup for wedding professionals. Like that
Mhm.
was her whole business. Right. And so just know like any one of these things, like we're saying choose 5, but for some of you, eventually, or maybe right away, you might look at this and just see YouTube manager and just like, well, I could just do YouTube. I mean, you think of like Trina Little, right? Like she just became like the YouTube person and had a whole YouTube agency. My friend Kate, who has $1 million Pinterest agency, like all she does is Pinterest and grew it to $1 million. So it doesn't have to be even 5 of these things. You could go all in on just 1 or 2 of them too, right? So that's what we want you to see here is possibility. And what we want you to see is your unique giftings displayed in a service that can be useful to small business owners. I want to ask you guys this question. Who is stuck? Is there anybody here that doesn't have your 5? If so, list out in the comments maybe the 3. If you're like, I don't have 5, I only have 3. Maybe list them out and we can do this with you, right? Like this is supposed to be interactive. So how many of you guys are maybe getting stuck? I see a ton of you posting your services. Jennifer says general admins, which is going to be, I love this because we're not just saying general admin, because if you go to a networking meeting and you tell, I'm a virtual assistant. Oh, what is a virtual assistant? I help with general administrative tasks for small business owners. Awesome. What does that mean? Like, what specifically do you do? They're going to want to know, right? Appointment setting and scheduling, data entry, chat support. I can design simple graphics for you. I can do social media support. That to a small business owner is like, okay, we need to talk, right? And I know this because I've had these conversations time and time and time and time again. You say the specific things that you do, small business owners are like, okay, we got to talk.
Yes.
Because I have 12. That's awesome.
Fine. The purpose of this activity is to show you that you can start today. Like if a client came to you today, you could start today with what you already know how to do. And Abby said it, and I've said it before, learning is going to naturally come. I started with Facebook group management and simple graphics. I ended up realizing I didn't like doing the graphics, and I ended up learning more and learning about other programs like Dubsado, and I moved into more of an executive assistant role, and that's where I was able to grow and scale my business. You're not going to necessarily stay with these services, but you can start with these services.
So good. I love what Sarah said. Pinpoint your biggest fear in dealing with customers. Adapt your processes. I'm personally an introvert, so dealing with clients can be scary and overwhelming. I simply adapted my processes. Like you don't have to, all of your marketing doesn't have to be live networking events, right? Like you can do marketing that you can be like LinkedIn, where I am behind a screen. Like that's totally fine. In fact, we even have like a whole training on like marketing for introverts. It's really, really good. One of the things I thought of, because I asked you guys to drop your stuff. So like we have Betty. So Betty says, Betty is sitting here saying, I only have 2, travel research and booking. Like I can do that. Number 1, there are people who just do just like travel research and booking. So you could go all in on that, right? Like that is an actual option. And I even go into like, man, if you're doing travel research and booking, like, could you even expand the research thing into like working for people who do conferences and like researching, locations for conferences and things like that. That could be really cool. But I also want to ask, like, is there a reason why you wouldn't want to add data entry, customer service emails? Because then you'd have a really full rounded general admin skill set. And so I want to go back to what Sarah said, like, I'm not saying this is you, Betty, but I just want to in general, if there are people who maybe don't want to do customer service emails for one reason or another. I know I've had people come to me and say, like, I'm not a very good writer. Like, I'm not good at spelling and grammar. Guys, there's tools out there too that can help with this. It's like, there are tools that will actually help you to do the things that maybe you don't feel as comfortable with, like a subscription to Grammarly. Like everybody, I use Grammarly all the time because I'm a good writer. Copywriting was one of my skills, but I do not have attention to detail. Like I do not have attention to detail. And it's kind of something you need as a virtual assistant, right? Is a little bit of that. So I would have tools that would help me. And one of those tools would be Grammarly, right? Like I would have, anytime I'd write an email, I'd make sure Grammarly would look over it and be like, oops, spelled that wrong. Oops, forgot that punctuation. Oh yeah, that's not a full sentence. Like I do that stuff all the time, right? So I love what Sarah said of like, don't necessarily let those things be limiting. Just find a way to kind of work around them.
Yeah. A different Sarah asked in the comments, she said, well, I don't know what this looks like to do it for others. I could do it for myself. Here's a little secret. This was not planned, but you are your best client.
Yeah.
Like, the way that you do it for yourself, you've developed systems and processes can often be the best way to offer it for somebody else. That somebody else, that client doesn't want to do it anymore and they need it off your plate. So often they may have their own systems and processes that you can quickly learn, but you can come in it and do it for yourself, or do it as if you were doing it for yourself, which can be a great way for sure.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I love about like virtual assistants is like the more you do for your own business, the more skills you now have to offer to other small business owners, which is so cool. It's like on the job training, right? So like at some point, in fact, if you take the Savvy System course, one of the things we do is very early on, we have you create a Facebook page, a business
Mhm.
Facebook page, right? So if you've never created a business Facebook page, you're going to know how to do that and you instantly have that service. So if you go to a client and you're like, you guys don't have a Facebook business page. Now you know how to set one up for them, right? Like another thing that you're going to do is we are going to teach you how to create a portfolio in Canva.
Mhm.
So instantly you're going to learn Canva, which if you just learn a tool like Canva, it's Canva for people who haven't used it before. If you simply use a tool like Canva, which by the way, they have great templates,
Amazing.
then instantly you're like, oh, well, now it opens up the door. Not saying that all of us should do this because we all have different skill sets, but it opens up the door to like, well, now I know how to make Pinterest images, or now I can make PDFs
Mhm.
for people, or I could make social media images. And so just by learning how to do things for your own business, you're inadvertently going to learn how to do this for other people's businesses, which I think is really,
Yes.
really cool.
So good.
Um, uh, uh, we have, let's see, I'm going to say your name wrong. Kai, Carlise. I butchered it. I'm so sorry. I really did.
Good
Um,
job.
so she says, I'm stuck between event planning, calendar management, inbox management, executive assistant, and personal assistant. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I would just say list it all. Like I would go for all of it because it's so here's one of the things that we talk about a lot. You hear people say the riches are in the niches, right? And we even had another person asking, like, do you charge more? Donna said, do you charge more for the advanced services?
Mhm.
So the quick answer is yes. As you specialize, as you niche down, right? So instead of just doing general admin where I'm offering a lot of different things to a lot of different people, our goal would be for most of you guys to eventually like niche down and say, I am only going to do Deb's auto setup for wedding professionals, right? Or I'm only going to do really high end real estate virtual assistants, or I'm only going to do websites, or I'm only going to do YouTube management, right? We love when people niche down. Why? Because the riches are, I'm going to say niche and niche, just go with it. Because the niches are in the riches, right? Or the riches are in the niches. Like the more you specialize, the more you elevate yourself as an expert in something, which means you can charge more for that, right? Like I don't do all these things for all these people. I can narrow down. However, what we don't want to have happen is for you to go really, really narrow in the beginning if you don't have that experience. If you're like, I'm going to only do websites, but you don't know how to build a website, don't do the websites, right? Like, don't do that at the beginning. Do more general services until you find what you really like. Because what I would hate and what we've seen happen is people be like, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to do social media. I'm going to build my whole business around being a social media manager. And then you go in and you realize you hate social media management, right?
Right.
And so that's why it's really beneficial to do a lot of different services in the beginning or to work with a lot of different niches because it's easier to find clients because you're not so specific. But then over time, as you get experience and as you get into the industry, niching down will actually help you get higher end clients, right? So it's both and. We want you to niche down, but for most of you, we're saying in the beginning, just do general admin. It's okay to work for.
Right.
I worked for an insurance agent. I had a fashion blogger that lived in Africa. I had a massage therapist. Like I worked with everybody when I first started, right? And eventually, I didn't niche down by industry. I niched down by service. I eventually became a high-end copywriter, right? And because that was what I found out that I loved, but I wouldn't have known it. I had no idea I even was good at copywriting until I started working for multiple clients.
Huh. So good. I love, love, love seeing everybody make decisions and recognize who they are and that they have so much to offer. And I hope that this activity kind of showed you that you can get started today with already who you are and what you know how to do. Do you have to be perfect at that? I saw a question in the comments. No. Do you have to be an expert? Absolutely not. We're never going to arrive, right? Can we be good at what we do? Can we be recognized as an expert? But you're not going to have to know everything. Can you do it? Can you figure out? Then it's a great service for you to start with.
100%. All right, let's keep going, guys. We
Yes.
are going to have a Q&A time at the end, so we will have time for more questions. And if you were looking at that list but you didn't take the quiz and you're like, oh, I'd kind of like to take the quiz, you can go to thevirtualsavvy.com/savvy quiz. Okay. So we're coming back to that 60-second activity. We want you to try to have 5 services. If not, it's okay if you only have 3. But I really would like you to stretch yourself. I know we had one of the questions was, should I only offer services if I know how to do it well? I would say write it down if you have like 70% comfort in it, because that 30%, if you're like, I only know how to do this 70% well, but I could probably get to like 90% in like a day or 2, or maybe even a week, you can add it to the list, right? Because it's going to take you a little bit of time to get clients. So you can be filling some of your marketing time with just improving your skill time too. Okay. Great question. All right. So the goal is that you have around 5 services. I hope that most of you do at this time. I would love for you guys to tell us in the comments, what are you most excited about? Is there something from this activity that you're like, ooh, I didn't even realize this was a service, or man, there was something on that list that just caught my eye. I would love to know in the comments if you have one of those. All right. As we're doing that, we are going to go ahead and move to the next section, which is talking about money. We have a lot to cover here today, guys. So I'm so glad that you're sticking with us. So we're going to decide on your rate. All right. And here's the thing. This is one of the areas that people just overthink like crazy.
Yes.
What were you going to say, Rachel? I feel like you had you had something.
I was going to say, remember when I said at the beginning, like we stripped away the complicated and we're going to make this super simple? I'm not kidding when we tell you how to choose your rate, it's literally going to be very simple. I want to preface, don't think into deep, complicated math equations. I want you to look at what we show you and I want you to make a choice in less than 60 seconds.
Yeah. We're going to show this to you. We just want you to make a choice because you can always go change it later. Okay.
Yes.
So most of us have chosen, like, these are the 5 services that I'm going to offer. So we want you to choose your starting rate.
That's it.
We want you literally just to choose an hourly rate. And so what this is based off of is generally our virtual assistants for general admin services will start their rates between $20 and $35 an hour. We can't tell you. It is up to you what you do to charge your rates. Now, we are going to look here in a few minutes at yesterday's time activity. If I only have 10 hours a week and my rate is $30 an hour, I know that I'm going to be making, once I'm sold out my services, those 10 hours a week, then I know I'm going to be making about $300 a week. So that's about $1,200 a month, right? Now, there are more ways to scale that. Doesn't mean that you're capped, because you can, eventually raise your rate. You could learn a more high-end service. You could build a team, right? And you could be charging $30 an hour, $35 an hour, and you're paying your employees $12 to $15 an hour, right? Or not employees, like your contractors. So there are ways to increase your income over time. But I love that some of you guys are like, all right, 30, let's do it. Done. Action over perfection.
Beth said in the comments, those all seem too high for me. And Beth, that's one of the reasons often that students get tripped up, because they can't understand that those are actually the going rates. So we give you this range, 20 to 35, because that's the actual going rate for starting VAs. So choose the one that feels most comfortable for you. Is there more looking into and more considerations that you need to make down the line for your income and all those things? Yes, but you can start with this range of rates for your hourly rate and just pick the one that feels the best to you.
Yeah, so that's and we're getting some really good at questions, guys, and this is where
Yes.
it is at. So, if we're talking about facing objections, let's do this.
Let's
So,
go.
one person said, "Hey, I don't understand how I could charge 20. That all seems way too high because I'm making $15 an hour." So, I want to talk a second about the fact that you are independent contractors.
Yeah.
So, an independent contractor is different than being an employee, right? So, when you're charging 20, 30, $35 an hour, you are that is your business revenue, right? So when you make your $15 an hour, there's stuff that comes out of it, unfortunately, right? Like government's going to get some of the some of their money no matter what, right? Social security gets taken out of that, all of this. When you're a small business owner, it's not just this is how my take home rate, right? You are going to have to be saving depending on where you live. You're going to be having to save back 20, sometimes even 30%
Mhm.
of your income to pay into self-employment taxes. Okay. So it's really something important to keep in mind as you're doing it. If you're making $15 an hour, then it at your current job, then it probably would be closer to that 20 or $25 an hour that you should start with as a VA because you are your job pays into or your job pays into some of the things that you're going to have to pay into, like they're paying employer taxes, their employment taxes. You're going to have to pay self-employment taxes here. You're going to have to, yeah. Kelsey says, remember, you're going to have some things to pay out: taxes, membership fees, website fees, etc. Right? So this isn't all just like I'm going to make this much money, and I think that that's really important to know, right? So that's one of the determining factors, and that's why we want to inch you closer to a
Mhm.
higher rate. And then we also had somebody saying that I just caught that. I was like, someone was like, yes, my electrician was $115 an hour, right? Like
Mhm.
this is not crazy.
No.
And this is, do you have clients who are able to find their first client $35 an hour? Yes, 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 all the time. In fact, we'll show you examples of it in just a second.
Yep.
Somebody said, like, I don't know how to do this when I see other people charging $5 to $7 an hour. So
I know.
let me go off on another
Yes,
tirade.
here we go. Let's go.
Okay, so you guys, yes, you and this is one of the things that this is one of the things that like irks me about the virtual assistant industry is the fact that there is a whole movement of people, right? Not everyone, but there is a whole movement of some people that are like, you know what? I'm just gonna hire for cheap. I'm gonna hire as cheap as I can, $5, $7 VAs. Done. Did you know you could get a VA in blah 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 country for only $4 an hour? There's Facebook ads on it, right? Like I see it all the time. That is not your competition. Okay. And I don't care where you live. I know VAs. In fact, one of our or somebody that I coached a few years back, a VA who had an agency in one of the lowest, like most, in India, where it was a very low income place where she lived, grew a multiple six-figure agency there, right? Because she's like,
Let's
I'm
go.
I'm not gonna let like I'm going to charge what I'm worth, not what like my company says I should be charging, right? And so I think that that's important to do, that you can target clients that are willing to pay those rates. And so when you're looking at people who are charging $4, $7, $5 an hour, who they're wanting as their clients and who you're wanting as your clients are different people.
Mhm.
Okay. It's just you have a different target audience.
Yep.
There are people who want
Yes.
VAs that are able to say,
Mhm.
okay, this is my rate. And in exchange for this rate, I'm going to be offering you this very high quality service. Right. And so that's what we're talking about here. So we can ask more questions about it. I'm totally able to go in. But I want you to know that this is very, very possible. In fact, I love that question. I know this is a little hard to see. You might have to like zoom in on your screen or whatever. But these are real students, you guys. These are real students who say, you know what? I'm going to start my services at $40 an hour. And what we have you do actually inside of our course is state your going rate, and then we say why. Like, why am I worth this? So Mary says, my hourly rate is going to be 35 because I'm well organized, I'm highly efficient, I'm detail oriented with an emphasis and precision thanks to 14 years of developing these skills. It's like, come on. Yes, it's not just I am going to charge this, but also because, like Joy says, I have the experience, skill, and education to back up my work. So this is why I'm going to charge. So if somebody comes in and they say, "Oh, that's too steep," right? Which again, in the course, we have like this facing objections workshop. What do you do if somebody says, "I can't afford that price"? You don't lower your rate. That's not what you do, because that is the worth that you have said. This is what I'm going to charge. This is what I need to make. This is what my services are worth, right? At this point, it's probably even going to go up over time, but there are ways around it. You know, you could say, okay, well, if you can't afford my 20-hour package, that would put you in the range to do my 10-hour package, right? Your hourly rate is still the same. So there are ways to go about facing some of the objections people might have at your rate, but this is the very common rate that our VAs are charging for general admin. We haven't even talked about like higher end services, right? Because when I was a copywriter, I wasn't charging $25, $30 an hour. I'm charging, you know, $60, $70, $80 an hour. We also had somebody in the comments that noted, and we can talk about this a little bit more, our incremental pricing recipe. What that is that if you look at this and you're like, I don't think I can do 35. Okay, do 20. Get your first client at 20. And then when you sign your second client, get your second client at 25. Oh, now look, my rates are $30 an hour. Get your third client at 30, right? So it's okay for you to go with what you feel comfortable with. Like if you're like, if I go into a Zoom call and I say $35 an hour, I'm going to puke. Okay, what makes you not puke? $20 an hour? Perfect. Let's start there. And then just increase it. As your experience grows, as your confidence grows, your rate should grow as well.
So good. And don't worry right now in this very moment. Don't worry about the fine-tooth details. When are they going to pay? How are they going to pay? We'll get there. The decision was, what are they going to pay, right? That's the decision that we need to make. And I know lots of people are asking in the comments, where do I find clients that are going to pay this? That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. We're going to talk all about that. But I'm going to tell you, even in our Savvy System community, we get new job ops almost every single day of business owners that need to hire yesterday, and they're willing to pay these rates. We were in our high-end coaching program, Savvy Circle. We're working with our business owners, and they are looking at what are the things that I need to do. Do you know what they need to hand off? All of the tasks that y'all are mentioning in the comments. Business owners want to hire you as new VAs at these starting rates, and they're out there. We just have to show you where to look for them. So stay tuned tomorrow.
So good. I love this, Katie. Taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. If you're comfortable while doing it, you're probably doing it wrong.
So true.
And yeah, Emily noted too, like this is why we have dollar limits on the job ops that are posted in our community. So if you're like, where do you find these higher quality jobs? We have a minimum amount that we allow in our group even. And we get, 10, sometimes 15 jobs posted a day. Okay. So they are out there. All right. So good. All right. So what will my packages be? Yesterday, you guys decided on how many hours you can work per week in your business. And now you have your hourly rate, which you know what? And you have your services. That means that you guys can actually start creating your packages. Like
we just created 190 VAs.
I know, right? Like how cool is that? Okay, so we want you to look, and you guys can go back to your workbook, thevirtualsavvy.com/workbook. You guys can go to your workbook and you can see something that looks kind of like this. Now, don't fill it in just like this, because my services are not your services, right? So these are monthly packages. So generally what you'll do is you will provide a small business owner with options, a small business owner with options, right? And say, these are the packages that I offer. And so I love having packages that are like 10, 20, 40 hours a month, or even 20, 40, 80 hours a month, right? Because the 20, 40, 80 hours a month would mean that you're doing about, your smallest package is about 5 hours a week for a business, but do what you feel comfortable with and what you have capacity to do, right? So also keep in mind that when you have 3 packages, psychology shows that most people are going to go towards your middle package. Okay. So keep that in mind. I always sometimes I like to challenge people, but when they do their smallest package, I'll be like, what if you made your smallest package your middle package, right? Like, what if you, wait, no, you take your middle package and make it your smallest package.
Yes,
That's
there you go.
That's what I meant. Okay. So like if this is my packages, 10 hours, 20 hours, or 40 hours, What if I made my middle one my smallest one and said, no, like I'm not going to take on a client that's paying me less than 5 hours a week. That's okay too. But each of us have different levels. So if you have a full-time job right now, I would probably do 10, 20, 40. If you don't have a full-time job, if you're able to work more than like 15, 10 to 15 hours a week in your business, then I would probably do more like 20, 40, or 80-hour packages, right? And then literally what you do is you just do that number times your hourly rate, right? So in this example, it's 10 hours times a $30 an hour rate would be a $300 a month package. Inside of this package includes the 5 services that you've chosen, right?
Yep.
We're creating your packages, you guys. I love this.
And it's so simple. Don't make it more complicated than it has to be. I was actually just talking to one of our coaches inside of our program, and we want to encourage our students that you want to make it easy for the client to say yes. And that's what I love about this setup. Okay. All the services are included, right? A, B, or C. It's a very simple math. Do I need 10, 20, or 40 hours? And it's going to cost me this, this, or this. You want it to be very simple for the potential client to look at your packages and say, that's what I need. Because if they spend too much time trying to figure it out or asking questions, it's going to take them longer to say yes, and they may never even answer. Make it easy for the client to say yes.
Yeah. Shakuna said, are the hours at the top hours per month or week? That's hours per month. So we recommend, if you're doing hourly pricing, to bill every single month, right? So you would charge your client $300, right? And that's like a month. Like if you charge them on the 1st of February, then on the 1st of March, they would get another bill, just monthly reoccurring, for $300 a month. And so in that month, they have 10 hours to use or lose. I do not recommend doing rollover hours. So if they only use 8, guess what? That last week, be like, you got 2 more hours to use. Use it or lose it. Come on. What other tasks do you have for me? Okay. So this is hourly based pricing. There are other pricing methods. There's also package based pricing, which we're not going to get into today. But let's say that you decided, I want to go all in with web design, or I want to go all in with Pinterest management. I want to go all in with YouTube management. There are ways to package your prices also. That's called package based pricing, which we're not going to get into today. But I'm happy, especially tomorrow, we'll have an extended Q&A time that we could go into that a little bit further. But essentially, you would just do a monthly reoccurring expense for the services that you're going to do. So you could, or if it's a one-time project, you're like, okay, I charge $5,000 for a website. It's a 5-page website. It includes boom, 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 right? So that's package-based pricing, which we're not focusing on today, but it is another pricing type as well. So I don't want you to think this is the only way to do pricing. This is just the one that we're showing, because most of you guys are probably going to be starting with general admin tasks, and that's awesome.
For sure.
Yay. All right, let's keep going. Guys, you did it. I hope that either you did it in your workbook or you have a notebook. How many of you would say now, like, I have my packages? Do you guys have your packages now? Like that, we wanted this to be really, really interactive, and we're going to take some time for Q&A because I think that we probably have some questions coming about, but like, just celebrate for a second, because this is a big deal. I hope that you took action over perfection. I hope that you made some decisions today. Like, that's a big deal. We want to be excited. I hope that you guys are excited too.
As we were developing this challenge, one of our biggest goals in creating the content is that you guys would have wins within the time that we are together. And in the comments, Abby, we totally achieved that. I have my packages. Yes, I have my packages. Let's see those numbers. Like, how excited are you about those packages? My heart is so full, Abby. My heart is so full.
I know, this makes me really happy. We wanted this to be highly interactive. And guys, you did this all in about, I mean, we didn't even start teaching this until probably like 12:20. So you did this all in like 30 minutes. Okay. So like the things that you did. So just imagine if you gave yourself a day, a week, a month, a year, right? Like what kind of things you could do, because you guys just made huge progress just today. So your assignment You're going to decide on the 5 services you'll start out offering in your business. If you didn't complete that today, that's okay. We only had 30 minutes with you of teaching time. You can take this now and say, okay, I'm going to decide on my beginning services after this live stream is over, decide on the hourly rate you'll charge, and using our challenge workbook, you're going to craft your 3 packages. So some of you guys are done. Like you're like, oh, I did it. I don't have any other homework. Nope. But for those of you who maybe didn't finish what we did today, that is your assignment for today until tomorrow's day 3 challenge.
Oh,
Yay!
so good. So many people excited and even more excited. I saw lots of 5s, still some 3s. That's totally okay. Like sit in it and breathe life into it and see where you can get to that 4 or 5 for sure. What's tomorrow, Abby?
Tomorrow, guys, we're going to be showing you how you can replace your income with virtual assistant. This will be a little bit of a longer training. So these have all been an hour. Tomorrow, we'll probably, with our extended Q&A time, probably go 2 whole hours. So if you have from 12 to 2 to block off, go ahead. 12 to 1:30-ish will probably be the teaching. So it's a little bit longer. We're going to be diving into marketing, okay? Which I know it's like, okay, now how do I find, people are like, wait, now how do I find clients to actually buy these packages? Don't wait, young Padawan. We will get to that tomorrow. Oh my goodness, we're into Star Wars right now. We will get to that. Okay. Tomorrow you're going to walk away knowing the top skills that clients are willing to pay for. Right. Let's see if your skills are on those on that list. How to replace your income with only 4 clients. Right. Most VAs can replace their full-time client with between 4 and 7 clients. So we're going to break that down for you tomorrow, and I'm going to be showing you my top places to find clients for your new business. And we have something really, really special. Tomorrow, we have a brand new bonus. It's called the Savvy Accelerator 30-day marketing strategy. And we're going to be giving it to you tomorrow for free. Okay. So make sure that you show up for the training. Make sure you block off about 2 hours if you can. I know it's a lot, but guys, it's so, so, so worth it because we're making some really, really forward progress in your business. Make sure that you join us tomorrow. If you're not signed up for the official challenge, right? Like if you didn't get emails about this today, or if you didn't have the link to the workbook, you need to be signed up for the official challenge. So you can go to thevirtualsavvy.com/challenge, and that way you'll get the email reminders and everything saying when we go live, getting the workbook. That's where the replays, if for some reason you're not able to see this live, you'll be getting a replay link. Okay, so that is where you get it if you are signed up at thevirtualsavvy.com/challenge. Also, tomorrow's the day. I'm so excited. We do open the doors to our Savvy System program, which is our step-by-step program. We have over 5,000 students who have already gone through our step-by-step program that teaches you how to become a virtual assistant. We'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. Again, jam-packed teaching that we have for you. Tomorrow is going to be a really, really awesome day. Let's do this. Let's maybe spend 5 or 10 minutes doing a Q&A time. I went a little bit over our time, but we jam-packed a lot into today's challenge. So if for some reason we are not able to answer your questions here live, because I know there are a lot of you here, we also do have our amazing support squad in the comments as well. So hopefully they can answer some of your questions additionally. Rachel, you ready?
Let's go. Y'all, tomorrow is going to be longer, like Abby said, and there will be a replay. Several questions about tomorrow. Yes, there will be a replay. Make sure you sign up, officially sign up. You'll get it emailed to you. It'll be posted. I do believe that tomorrow's replay will only be available until Monday evening.
Yeah.
So team, if you can tell us, I think it's 10 p.m. on Monday that we take down that replay. So just know that as well. It's not going to be available forever. You'll have a limited time to catch tomorrow's replay.
Yes, yes. We want you guys to take action, which means we're not going to give you a replay and then just like let it last forever because you won't get around to watching it. So we put a deadline on it. Monday night at 10 p.m. is the last chance you'll have to watch tomorrow's replay. Okay. It will be coming down. I love this. Before we jump into the questions, Heather said, I've always said that I'm great at creative and organizational things, but terrible at business. And I'm thinking differently now. That makes me so, so happy. I love that, Heather. Such a cool thing.
So awesome.
Right.
All right, bring some questions, Abby.
I know. I'm like, okay, there's so many. Which one do we do?
There's so many good ones.
Okay. For our packages, do we keep them the same for all of the hours in our packages? So, when we go to that package spreadsheet, let me just go back to it here, you guys. So when you're looking at this, some people will offer a discount if you choose a higher package. So maybe, 10-hour package would be $30 a month with all these services included. A 20-hour package would maybe be $575. So you give some kind of like a small
Mhm.
discount. That's totally up to you. Some people do it, some people don't. Like it's totally fine. And then you'll see at the bottom it says additional hours will be charged at X per hour. That's kind of the same thing. Some people will say, my hourly rate is $30 an hour in my packages, but if you go over that,
Mhm.
like just because it's going to be hours outside of what I planned, that's going to be $35 an hour, right? Additional hours are a little bit more. So it's totally up to you. And I just realized that your comment is blocking that additional hours, but yeah, so that's totally up to you. But for these hourly type of packages, yeah, it's the same services included in every package. It's just the amount of hours that changes. But you could change that too. I mean, we've had people before say, only with my, biggest package do you also get Voxer access to me, or only with my biggest package do you also get this monthly report or something. Like you can add additional things on in bigger packages if you want to. Again, these are yours to make your own.
Yeah, it's the beauty of owning your own virtual assistant business is you get to make those choices. You get to make the choices of, are you going to give a discount if they buy the bigger package? Are you going to charge more if they go over their hours? You get to decide how you're going to track your hours. Are you going to use a tool like Toggle? Or, you get to make those choices that feel the best for you.
Yeah, so good. And that's one of the things Heather asked, how do you keep track of the
Yeah.
documents, hours you've worked? So the tools that we said earlier, Honeybook and Dubsado, are really good. They both have time tracking, but I really love, there's a tool called Toggle, Toggl, and it's
Mhm.
free.
Free.
And it's one of my favorites for
Mhm.
keeping track of your hours, because you literally just like, it's like a little timer and you just put it on, and then you can go in and say what you're working for. If you're like, oh crud, I left for 2 hours, I forgot to turn on my timer, you can go back and
Adjust it.
adjust it and everything. So it's really easy to do. And that's what you do with hourly. Again, not everybody does hourly packages. That's why a lot of times people they'll start out with hourly, and then over time they're like, I'd rather do package-based pricing because I don't love keeping track of all my hours. That's fine.
Yeah.
Eventually you can move on to do package-based pricing, which is just a different form of pricing.
Yep. Totally cool.
Let's see here. Okay. This is a great question. What's the difference between what we're learning now and what's in the Savvy system? So this is literally like, if you imagine like the biggest iceberg that you can imagine, this is literally like the tip of it. So this is like one lesson, and we have 120 lessons. So we actually go into so much more detail. I mean, we
Mhm.
cover, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, but the Savvy system, one, it comes with your community support. It comes with monthly live streams if you're choosing pro or ultimate. It comes with the contracts that you need. It comes with templates. So we like
Yeah.
create a portfolio with you, but there's actually templates. There's templates. There's our template guide of like, hey, I need to fire a client, or I want to raise my rate, or I want to schedule a meeting with a client. Like there's all these like copy paste templates for you. We'll go over it a little bit more tomorrow for those of you who are interested. Um, let's see. Super excited. I'm so looking forward to tomorrow. I'm hyped and pumped. I've wanted to do virtual assistants for a while, but never took the steps to start. Well, you have taken so many steps now. That's so awesome. So good. What does data entry consist of? What are considered high-end services? This is really good. Do you want to answer either of those, Rachel?
Yeah, and you, I think, did data entry for a while, right? Like, what did your specific services look like? I mean, to my mind, I think of, like spreadsheets or
Yeah.
entering information into like a CRM or something like that. That may be actually more considered on the high end of data entry. You have more experience specifically in that.
Yeah, so I mean, like my very first data entry job was literally, I had a massage therapist that had like a stack of this big of business cards, and she's like, I want these all in a spreadsheet. And I'm like, okay, that's gonna take, I was like, I don't even know like how to like estimate this? And she's like, okay. I was like, I'll just charge you hourly and keep you updated on how many I got done, and then we can kind of estimate how much we think it'll be. And she's like, okay, that sounds great. Cool, peace. I know that like even on our team, we have Kayla who does a lot of administrative work on our team, and she's having to like go and pull information from different places and
Mhm.
put it in like spreadsheets.
Mhm.
So that's generally what data entry is. Depending on the business, it can look really different. But it's literally just inputting data into various places, whether it be a software, whether it be Excel spreadsheets, things like that. I mean, I did data entry and I never even knew how to do like really, really high end Excel stuff. I'm still not the best at Excel.
Hey,
I go into
you
spreadsheets and
hired
I break
somebody to do
them.
that for you. That's totally cool. Oh, Chachi says too, analytics is data entry and analytics. That's definitely
Oh
on
yeah.
the higher end for sure.
For sure. When we talk about websites and landing pages, good question, Christy. So, I do think that every virtual assistant should have a website,
Mhm.
but I don't think you have to have it when you first start in your business. So, what we teach is to create a portfolio.
Mhm.
Unless if you are really good at websites, like if you can throw up a website in a week or even like a couple days, by all means, go ahead and set up a website. But what we have found is that it kind of goes against our core value of action over perfection if we say you have to have a website before you get clients, because people will get stuck. They'll be like, "Oh, oh, and my logo's here and I need it to move over 2 inches and I'm going to spend 4 weeks just figuring out how to move my logo over 2 inches." And it's like, "No, no, like don't do that." Like we have had so many. I mean, I can't even count the number of students we have had that
Mhm.
have sold out their services with like a coming soon page or with no website at all, or a domain that just leads to their Facebook
Mhm.
page, right? Like so many people, because your website's not what sells your services. It's you. It's the personal connections you're making. It's those relationships. And so, do we want you to have a website eventually? Yes. Do we teach you? Do we give you templates? All the things? Yes.
Mhm.
But we don't think you need to have it as like step one in your business.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't have a website in my business until I hit the 2 year mark. And at that point, I'm not a website designer. So I paid somebody to do it for me at that point. But I was able to sell up my services, making 5 figures. I was able to do that all without a website. I only had my Facebook page and my
Yeah.
portfolio. But when we said, I think we said it yesterday, referrals are no joke. Like once you get the ball rolling and you get the word out and you serve clients, your name's going to get out there organically and you're going to get clients that way as well.
Yeah. Jennifer said, "How many spots are available for the Savvy system?" Great question, Jennifer. There's no limit. So we don't put a limit on how many people come in. We just put a time limit on it. So what we do is we open the doors tomorrow, and it'll be open for 2 weeks. So you'll get in sometime in these 2 weeks. If it's for you, we usually have anywhere 300 to 400 students will come in at a time. And what's so awesome is that we have a whole team, this whole support squad here, plus all the students who are already in the program who are guiding you through it. So it's like so much momentum. I mean, those Facebook groups are on fire when we first get started, and you guys are like, "Here's my logo. Here's my business name. I just got my LLC. I just got my first client. What do I do about this?" I mean, that group is hopping, right?
So,
You could be like, yeah, like it's so many posts every single day, and we're just there
mhm.
supporting. And so there's no cap. It's just we like to get you guys in and have you go through with that excitement and that burst. So we do close the doors after 2 weeks, and we only open it twice a year. So
Yeah,
we
and
will not
what's
we're actually, I don't think we're gonna we usually open in July. I don't actually think we're gonna open it this time until September. So
right, I was just
we
gonna
have to
say
wait a long time.
going to be a longer time this year before we open it the second time for the year. But shout out to the girls on the screen, our support squad. They are absolutely amazing at supporting our students, and y'all get support like none other inside of that group. And what's so cool is if you decide that Savvy System is for you when we open the doors tomorrow, you've already gotten the momentum going by working through the assignments from yesterday and today, and that momentum is only going to catapult you further and faster as you get this started.
So good. So good. Let's see. I'm finding the whole pricing thing difficult because you always offer something different and some tasks take more time. for one client, less for another? How can you tell the client how many hours you'll be working on something? So that's a really good question, Maud. I would say, here's the way that I do it. It's just communication, right? So if you have done this type of work before, it's like data entry and they give you that big old stack of business cards and you're like, okay, this should take me about this much time. You might know that. But the only way you're going to know that is if you have the experience of doing it. So
Mhm.
it's okay to say, which is exactly what I did, when she handed me that big old stack. I'm like, I don't know even what to quote you on this.
Mhm.
But what I can do is I can go through and I can do the first 50. I'll let you know how much time that took, and I can give you like an estimate based off of that, right? So for a lot of clients, they're just buying packages of hours, right? So it's not actually up to you to make them decide how many hours. It's up to their budget, right? And it's up to how much time is it taking them already to do these tasks? Because remember, most of the things you're doing for small business owners, you're just taking the tasks off of their plate that they're already doing. So they'll look at your packages and be like, let's start with the 10-hour package, right? If you get through the first week and you're like, hey, we're already at 8 hours, here's what I've done for you, boom, 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 boom. I can do 2 more hours next week. Or we can go ahead and bump you up to the middle package if that's going to be better. Like it is going to be kind of this ebbing, flowing thing. And the best thing you can do is just be in constant communication. Like whether it is a daily email or a weekly recap or a weekly meeting that you do, whether it's printing off on Toggle, you can print off these really professional reports and send them in. It's just having that communication with your client of saying, here's where I'm at, here's what I've done so far, here are a couple concerns that I have, and just addressing that in some way. What you don't want to have happen is somebody pay you 40 for a 40-hour package and then they don't hear from you for in 3 weeks.
Right.
Okay. Like you gotta stay just in communication, and all you do is systematize it. I'm going to send a daily email saying, here's my tasks. I have a template, so it takes me 3 minutes, and that's I'm using my time, right? You click your timer on when you're doing those 3 minutes to send your daily email, or I'm going to do a weekly recap, or I'm going to do a Monday meeting that's 15 minutes with every client. Whatever you decide to do, you've got to have that constant communication with your clients so they know what you're working on and they're able to see, here's where my money's going.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, I think my number one tip with clients is to always have a contract. And then right behind that is communication. You have to keep that open, honest communication with your client for a variety of reasons, whether things are going great or we have more issues that we have to deal with. As long as you're having that open, honest communication, it makes dealing with all of those issues so much easier in the long run.
Yes. So good. Okay. When we'll open again, if it's not the right time, that will be September is when we plan to open it again. Someone said, I wish Savvy System was possible with a monthly price. It actually is. So we have annual and monthly pricing. We can share it all with you tomorrow. Do we need to create a business Facebook page now? Like if it's one of the things that we do teach you inside the Savvy System, but shoot, if you're gonna be starting your business, go for it. Like go set ready. Let's do this. Build your Facebook page. Yes, I would highly suggest having a business Facebook page for your virtual assistant business. So nothing stopping you from going to do that. Let's see. So many good questions.
Heather asks, it's near the end, Abby. There are no dumb questions, Heather, by the way. Do they pay up front or after the work is done? We've seen it both ways. With hourly pricing, I typically recommend that you do it before, get paid before the work is done. But you get to make the decision based on your services, what you're doing, how you work with your clients, what is the best method. You could do monthly, you could do bi-monthly payments, you could do weekly payments. Again, you get to make the choice that is best for you and your business.
Yeah, 100%. Like a lot of times if it's a bigger service, so let's say you're doing a $5,000 website, people will do, hey, I'll do, a third up front, a third midway through, and a third upon, at the end. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. And that's, I had another question here too. What's the best way to communicate with your client through email or just different systems? So there's so many different systems. There's, you can just do email, right? You could do Slack. We love Slack. It's a great way to communicate with various clients. Some people love doing voice. And so you do Voxer, right? Voxer is a really great tool. The cool thing is, guys, this is your business and you get to choose. And so what we like to do, and this is something you're going to find as a theme in the Virtual Savvy and inside of our programs, just like we did today, we like to lay out all the options. We like for you to see, hey, project management, you could use Dubsado, you could use Honeybook. There's one called Adminja. There's what, you could use Trello, you could use ClickUp. So we kind of show you these different ones. And then we want you to go in and be like, to test them out and say, ooh, I like this one, because we're not going to tell you this is going to be the best one for every single person, because the way you work is the way your brain works is different than the way my brain works. I hate Boxer. I'm so
I love
bad
Boxer.
at Boxer. You love Boxer.
I love
You
Boxer.
love Boxer. I hate it. I'm so bad at it. For me, it's just another thing to check. Like it's not in my rhythm. I'm actually not good at text messaging either. Pretty much email
No,
and
she's
Slack.
not. She's not good at text messaging.
Email and Slack are my only reliable methods to get a hold of me ever, right? And because that's me and that's my personality,
That's
and
right.
that's what works for me. And so you get to choose. And so that's what I love about this, is that it's like, let's make this a business around you and your personality and what works best for you, because it's your business and you get to decide. You make the rules. Come on.
Love it. But I don't know if we're gonna take another question, but I do want to shout out our support squad in the comments.
Yes.
Alex and Emily and Chachi and Katie and Kayla and Sarah. I've seen y'all in the comments. Thank you so much for your support today and answering questions. So many good questions today. Thanks for sharing links. Just wanted to shout out y'all there on the thread. And if I missed somebody, I didn't see you, I love you too.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. I know we didn't answer every single question. We will be doing an extended Q&A time tomorrow. Tomorrow, guys, it is going to be epic. Tomorrow, we are teaching you how to replace your full-time income with virtual assistants. We're going to take everything that we've learned today. We're going to throw in some marketing. We're going to give you step-by-step guides. We have that 30-day marketing challenge workbook that we're going to be equipping you with. It's going to be really, really good. So we are so excited to join you tomorrow for day 3, our last day of the challenge. Let's do this. Thank you guys so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.